Hello, my name's Hannah. I'm from the New Carnival Company, and this week for session 5 of the Virtual Carnival Club, I'm going to show you how to make some simple musical instruments. The first one we're going to try is a maraca, or a rattle, or a shaker, however you want to call it. You will need for this some yogurt pots. Individual yogurt pots are best, or this is actually creme caramel. I've used petit falou, and some dried pulses, seeds, grains, whatever you've got in your kitchen cupboard. So I had some kidney beans, some pearl barley, some buckwheat, some popcorn and some rice. Do make quite different noises, so that's the rice, pearl barley, buckwheat, popcorn. The red kidney beans make the loudest noise, so the bigger the thing, the louder the noise generally. Okay, so we're going to use 2 of the individual cartons. It's quite important they are the same shape so that they stick together well in the middle. I'm going to use some popcorn seeds, kernels, and pop them in. You don't need loads and loads, just a few in the bottom, that's about 1 centimetre I would say. And then line up your 2 yogurt pots. Then use some, I'm going to use gaffer tape. You could also use parcel tape or even sellotape. If it's a bit wider, it's just a bit quicker and easier for you. So just that all the way around the side. And then squish it down so you've got a nice seal. Now at this point, you could just use this as a handheld shaker. So I think that's a kidney bean one. That is just a handheld one I've decorated. It's quite hard to get stuff to stick to the plastic though, so I've come up with another method. We're going to be using kebab sticks for the stick. I decided that 1 kebab stick was not really strong enough, so I've taped 3 together. Just put some tape around each end. You'll then need to make a couple of little holes in each end of your shaker. So use some sharp scissors or a bradawl and just make a tiny hole in the end. Get an adult to help you if you're a bit worried about this stage. And then poke your stick through and out of the other end, if you can find it. At this point, the kebab sticks ends are still very sharp and pointy, so as I worry about health and safety, I'm just going to cut those ends off so it's a bit blunter. I'm still a little bit concerned about that poking into people, so I've just used a little bit of cardboard and I'm going to tape that over the top there. I'm also going to tape a little bit around the bottom so that it doesn't fly off when it's when you're shaking it. Don't worry about the look of it at this stage because you're not really going to seal this tape when you're finished. A little bit around this end, just keep it stuck on. Give it a bit of a test, make sure it doesn't fly away. Then cut out, I've just used a scrap of fabric, roughly about the size of a cushion, about 40 centimetres square. This one's a little bit rectangle, it doesn't really matter. And then I'm just going to put this in the middle. You could cut into a circle as well for a bit of a neater drawing around the bottom. And then I'm just going to wrap that tightly and use a little bit of sellotape just to bind it all together. At this point you have a choice. You could leave your fabric like this so it's in a bit of a frill, or if you would rather it was more of a traditional maraca type shape, you could wind your fabric round and continue to bind round with your sellotape. Afterwards you want to cover it with some ribbon just to make it look a bit prettier. So get yourself a piece of ribbon A little bit of double-sided tape there, wrap that all around, tie another piece around over your sellotape in the middle. Could just use scraps of fabric as well, or anything else you've got lying around. Let me put that. Here's one I made earlier. So we've got the ribbon around there, we've bound the string, and we're shaking. So that's how to make a maraca. Next one. The next thing we're going to look at is how to make a spin drum. So here's one my daughter Lottie made. You will be needing another kebab stick. Cut out yourself some circles out of corrugated cardboard. I just used some tape to draw around. Cut it out, and then you want to make 2 holes in the sides with the verticals of the corrugated cardboard going upwards so that you can stick your stick in later. Once you've made the 2 holes, take a little bit of string, poke it through one side of the hole. You might need your scissors again to do this. Tie it on in a knot, a double knot preferably, you don't want it to fly off. And then you'll need 2 beads. I am just using the cheapy plastic pony beads. You want to make sure you've got something with a fairly large hole so your string fits through. You could use wooden beads, you could use pasta, you could use paper beads. Something a bit harder works a bit better, I find, so plastic or wood is probably best. At this point, when you've strung up your spin drum, you want to make sure when you tie these on that they hit the middle of the circle. So I'm going to tie it so that they hit the middle, again in a double knot. There we are. So I will then trim off my end. You will then have something like this, and I've just taped the ends onto my card. The next thing you'll need to do is get your kebab stick. Use a little bit of PVA glue if you've got it, or wood glue, or any type of white glue really, or even Copydex. Super glue, I suppose would work. And then you're going to find roughly the middle, vertical, and poke the stick through the circle. Again, we've got a little bit of a pointy edge, so I'm just going to cut that off. Put a bit of tape over the top. Next, cut out 2 pieces of thinner card. These will be stuck on to decorate your spin drum. So again, you can glue them on or tape them, double-sided tape. So one each side, and then you can decorate as you like. Put some glittery bits on, maybe draw a picture, maybe a happy smiley face. On this one, I've also wrapped some ribbon around the stick so it looks a bit prettier, and got some wasabi tape that I've just put around the edge. So that makes quite a nice noise. You can spin this with your hands or like this in between your hands. Hi again. For this next one, I'm going to show you how to make a drum. This is a Flowerpot drum. Makes quite a nice noise. You want as large a flower pot as you've got. You could use a bucket. Those big mayonnaise pots that you sometimes get from hotels would be good as well, sauce pot type things. So I've got a flower pot from my garden. It's a little bit dusty still, sorry about that. And first thing we're going to do is take some parcel tape. So this is the same sort of tape as the brown parcel tape that you use. I've just run out and I seem to only have clear. But generally the brown tape is fine. And quite a fairly thin, wide sellotape basically. And we're just going to stretch that over the middle of our drum. Once we've done it one side, we're then going to go opposite way. Oops. Make sure, try and get it as tight as you can. If your flower pot or circular bucket is not very strong, it will at this point start to buckle. So this one here actually turned a bit of a funny shape. However, once I wrapped some stuff around it, it doesn't really notice. So I'm just going to do this. So you keep going opposite ways. So I've now got a bit of a star shape. And then opposite way again. Oops. Nice and stretched. Cover up all the holes. Okay, so I've now got a nice tight skin on my drum. You may as well want to put a further little bit all the way around just to secure it a little bit more. And now I'm going to cut out a piece of cardboard, which I've pre-cut. I've used a piece that has the verticals going this way, so it's easier to bend. I didn't actually do that for that one, and it is rather harder to bend. So if you can get a nice long bit, you can curl it round. I'm actually going to turn this round and stick it under the lip of my flower pot. And the flower pot's conical, but I wanted my drum to look straight, so I'm going to stick this on fairly straight. And it's actually a little bit bigger than my plant pot to cover up my ugly old plant pot. So I've stuck that there, and now I'm going to do a final bit of tape around the top to hold it securely. A little bit of a squeeze. So at this point your drum's ready to decorate. I'll show you mine. I stuck some fabric all around it, and then I added some coloured paper. I used Copydex to stick my fabric on, but PVA will probably work as well. I then have found some foam stars. I had some tape and some holographic card just to trim the bottom and the top. So it might be a slightly different sound according to the size of your drum. For the beaters, I've used again a kebab stick and a cork. So stick the kebab stick pointy end right into the cork nice and securely, and then you can paint that. You can also use tape or ribbon to bind your drumstick. The next thing I'm going to show you is a tambourine. This is made out of 2 paper plates, some beads and some string. It's also quite handy to have a hole punch when you're doing this, and a little bit of tape or glue to stick them together with. So the first thing, I've got my 2 paper plates. I'm just going to stack them on top of each other and go around with the hole punch about 5 centimetres or so apart, but it can be more or less. It's not too important. Depends how much threading you like to do. So I've now got holes all the way around the edge. I now want to stick them the opposite ways together so that the tops are coming out. So I've stuck a little bit of double-sided tape on here. I'm just going to pull that off. Stick them together. And then take your piece of string and tie it onto one of the holes. We're now going to thread a bead on, or some pasta I've got here. When you're threading, make sure your threading doesn't go too tight. I tend to sew quite tightly, but if you do, it won't really bounce against the sides. So I'm going to come back out. So I've gone kind of diagonally across with my bead. Then I'm going to go over the top into the middle to thread another bead on. So roughly got, and another bead. I'll show you a couple of these and then I think we'll have the idea. So again, diagonally through, up, over again, and carry on with that all the way around. This one I've used some pony beads, and I also made some paper beads, just with sellotape and rolled up paper. Once you've finished doing your threading, you can stick something over the top to decorate. So I've just coloured in with oil pastel and watercolours and made my own pattern, a few sequins, and that's your tambourine. A few things finally I'm just going to show you. There's another fairly simple ways that you can make instruments. So take a tin can. These do tend to be a bit sharp, so just put some tape around the edge, and then I've bent it a little bit just to give it a bit of a better sound. And if you experiment with different things to rub on it, a thicker wooden thing would be better, maybe a paintbrush or a chopstick. This one is another shaker. This is just made of lots of bottle tops. Made holes in the bottle tops, took pieces of string about 50 centimetres longish, threaded a knot in the bottom, tied them together, plaited up the ends into a loop so that you can kind of bounce it around. Okay, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing what you've made. I'd love to see some videos of you dancing around, making music, or just some photos of your instruments. Thank you very much. See you next time.